You know what, we can't. Welcome to our Saint Skits. Everyone say welcome to our Saint Skits. All right, everyone stand up. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Our first skit is that of Saint Joseph. He cared for Jesus and Mary. Do you know Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph? Do you know Saint Joseph? He cared for Jesus and Mary. Joseph was a quiet, hard-working carpenter who kept God's commandments. He loved Mary and wanted to marry her. One night, in a dream, an angel came to Joseph and told him that Mary was going to have God's own baby, and Joseph was being given the special job of taking care of Mary and the baby Jesus. Joseph listened to the angel. He married Mary and loved baby Jesus very much. He taught Jesus everything he knew about carpentry. Joseph and Jesus worked together for many years. Yes, we know Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph. Yes, we know Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph, pray for us. Our next skit is that of Saint Monica. She prayed for 30 years. Logan's not supposed to be a number. Easton is a number. Easton, go up. Logan, you're not a number. Josie and Easton were filling in. That's why we had too many people. There we go. Do you know Saint Monica? Saint Monica, Saint Monica. Do you know Saint Monica? She prayed for 30 years. Saint Monica was the mother of a young man who did not want to behave nicely. Monica prayed for her son every day. Make my son a good man, she begged God. Her son Augustine kept living a wicked life. Monica never lost hope. She never stopped praying for her son. She prayed for 5 years. She prayed for 10 years. She prayed for 15 years. She prayed for 20 years. She prayed for 25 years. She prayed for She prayed for 30 years. After 30 years of prayer, her son changed his way of life and became a priest. He later became a bishop. Saint Monica shows us that we must never give up on prayer. Her son Augustine was eventually named a saint. Yes, we know Saint Monica, Saint Monica, Saint Monica. Yes, we know Saint Monica, Saint Monica, pray for us. Our next skit is that of St. Francis of Assisi. He cared for God's creation. Do you know St. Francis, St. Francis, St. Francis? Do you know St. Francis? He cared for God's creation. As a young man, Francis was very rich and enjoyed the pleasures of life. Once, when he was sick, an angel appeared, telling him God was calling him to live as Jesus did. Francis answered God's call and began to visit the sick in hospitals and to do helpful things for the poor. Francis said when people serve the poor, they are serving Christ himself. Francis began to wear clothes like the poor. And he began to preach about peace and unity. All the things God created are like our brothers and sisters, he said. He was gentle with the animals. St. Francis showed us how God created all people, animals, and plants to live together in peace and harmony. Yes, we know St. Francis, St. Francis, St. Francis. Yes, we know St. Francis, St. Francis, pray for us. Our next skit is Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, a queen who cared for all. Do you know Saint Elizabeth, Saint Elizabeth, Saint Elizabeth? Do you know Saint Elizabeth, a queen who cared for all? When Elizabeth was very young, she married Louis. He was a very rich man and later became king. Queen Elizabeth was kind to her husband and loved her children very much. She felt, as a queen, she should care for all of her people. So she would leave the palace carrying food in her cloak. And feed the poor. King Louis felt this was wrong. It was wrong for the queen to carry food to the people as if she were their servant. So one day, the king stopped her and made her open her cloak to see what she was carrying. She was carrying food, but when she opened her cloak, dozens of flowers fell out. King Louis was surprised. This was a sign to him that she was indeed doing God's work. Yes, we know Saint Elizabeth, Saint Elizabeth, Saint Elizabeth. Yes, we know Saint Elizabeth, Saint Elizabeth, pray for us. Our next skit is that of Saint Bernadette. Our Lady appeared to her. Do you know Saint Bernadette, Saint Bernadette, Saint Bernadette? Do you know Saint Bernadette? Our Lady appeared to her. In 1858 in France, a young girl named Bernadette and her friend went into the fields to gather firewood for their families. The other child stopped gathering wood and began to play games. But Bernadette kept gathering wood and came to a cave near a river and saw a beautiful lady dressed in blue and white with stars around her head and flowers at her feet. When Bernadette came home and told her family about the beautiful lady, they did not believe her. But the lady kept appearing to Bernadette. One day the lady told Bernadette to dig in the place where she was standing. She did. And a fresh spring of bubbling water came out of the ground. Sick people who washed in the water became well. Sick people still go there today and are healed. Yes, we know Saint Bernadette, Saint Bernadette, Saint Bernadette. Yes, we know Saint Bernadette, Saint Bernadette, pray for us. Our next skit, our last skit, is that of Saint Therese, the little flower of Jesus. Do you know Saint Therese? Saint Therese, Saint Therese. Do you know Saint Therese, the little flower of Jesus? Therese Martin was born in France over 100 years ago. When she was a little girl, she told her father that she wanted to become a nun. Her father said no. She was too young. A few years later, Therese asked the Pope for special permission to become a nun. And he said yes, and blessed her. She became a religious sister when she was just 15 years old. I just want to love God, she told the sisters. She was always very kind to others, doing helpful things for Jesus. She promised, after I die, I will drop down a shower of roses from heaven. And that is just what she did. Dropped the roses from heaven. Yes, we know Saint Therese, Saint Therese, Saint Therese. Yes, we know Saint Therese, Saint Therese, pray for us. Go back, when the saints go marching in. Two reaching sides. Stand up. Oh, when the saints go marching in.